Welcome to Season 2 of the Fraud Files Unleashed, where true fraud investigations meet captivating storytelling. I'm Austin, a seasoned fraud fighter with over 8 years of experience in both law enforcement and banking. Join me on a first-hand journey through real cases, offering insights into the dangers and intricacies of fraud. Whether you're a fellow fraud fighter or just eager to learn more about fraud prevention, I invite you to tune in. Brace yourself for a mix of knowledge, humor, and plenty of coffee. Let's uncover the secrets of fraud together. Season 2, Episode 5, The Pizza Fraud Triangle. Hey! Welcome to the Papa Fraud's Pizza Shop. I hope you're not here for actual pizza though, because today I'm going to tell you about the time I arrested a fraudster who primarily got caught because they ordered some pizza using a stolen debit card. Later on, I'm also going to teach you about the fraud triangle model. Primarily because this model really puts into perspective that almost anyone can be motivated to commit fraud in the right conditions. And that's exactly what I realized during this fraud investigation. I wasn't tracking down a notorious cyber criminal. No. I was tracking down an ordinary person who rationalized a horrible decision. The fact that this fraudster met all 3 conditions of the fraud triangle and just so happened to order triangular pizza slices was just too ironic to not pull out my pizza puns. All the ingredients mixed together perfectly, and now it's time to tell you how this fraudster stole the dough. Mamma mia, let's jump back in time to 2020, which is when this investigation started. I wish there was a way to know you're in the good old days before you've actually left them. For any fans of the hit TV show, The Office, you may recognize this quote from Andy Bernard, also known as the Nard Dog. I frequently look back in time and consider my law enforcement career as the good old days. It's where I accidentally fell in love with fighting fraud, as you may know if you've listened to the very first episode of the Fraud Files Unleashed. Without my time in criminal fraud investigations, I would not be where I'm at today, and for that, I'm extremely thankful. So, here I am sitting in my office, deep inside the hallways of the Seminole County Sheriff's Office, hiding in my little cubicle from the worries of the world. This was an ordinary day, and I was checking my queue of new cases to work. Essentially, police officers working patrol would take fraud reports, and the next day, these new cases would pop into my queue for further follow-up or investigation. Let's see what we got here today. Whoa. This case had my fraud senses tingling right out the gate. It just seemed too easy to be true. We had a local victim, Charlotte, who routinely visited a local spa business. But things weren't so routine during her last visit. She got pampered and did whatever you do at spas. I'm not really a spa kind of guy, so forgive me. She paid with her debit card after getting refreshed and went on with her day. The only problem was, a few hours later, she noticed some weird transactions when she logged into her online banking. Charlotte noticed transactions associated with phone payments through Cricket Wireless, and notably, she had a small transaction at a local pizza store in the same plaza as the spa. Coincidence? I think not. Please don't take this the wrong way, but I've witnessed 2 types of fraud victims in this world. And keep in mind, anyone can become a fraud victim, so you're likely to fall in one of 2 of these categories. If you do become a victim, you will either be a passive or aggressive individual. Passive meaning you either won't care to do anything or you may report the incident, but realistically, you don't want to get involved. Or you become aggressive like Charlotte did, and like I probably would. Charlotte was relentlessly wanting to take things into her own hands to make sure she could catch whoever compromised her card information. So Charlotte grabbed her own detective hat, drove up to the pizza shop herself, and started grilling the owners for information. I could picture the scene now. Hey, welcome to Papa Frauds. Alright, you listen here, fellas. Someone bought pizza using my debit card, and I am not leaving until you get me more information. I can only imagine the fear in the owner's eyes. And ultimately, the pizza shop owner complied and gave Charlotte all the information they had on the transaction. Go Charlotte. She was doing my job for me. Granted, I couldn't take the same approach she did, but still. Charlotte wasn't done though, because she also attempted to get info from a local Cricket Wireless store. But they weren't able to help her. Upon reviewing this case file, I already had info on the pizza transaction, and I went ahead and sent out a legal request to see if I could get more details on who made the Cricket Wireless transactions. Digging into the pizza transaction had me shook. They provided Charlotte with the phone number that called in the order, the address where the delivery was made, and the name of the individual who placed the order. Wouldn't you know it? That pizza was delivered to the spa Charlotte had visited. And it was delivered to someone named Sharon, who just so happens to be the front desk receptionist who processed Charlotte's transaction after her lovely spa visit. After waiting nearly a month for the subpoena legal results, I was able to confirm the transactions associated with Cricket Wireless were payments made towards a negative balance belonging to none other than Sharon. In fact, this confirmed the phone number used to place the pizza order was Sharon's very own cell phone number. And the requested call logs confirmed her cell phone did in fact call the pizza shop. Talk about an easy case. Charlotte did half the work for me. And Sharon? She clearly didn't cover her tracks at all. Charlotte also was calling me weekly at this point to check in for any updates. So I guess you can say I had some serious motivation to get this fraud file completed as soon as possible. Sharon still worked at the spa and had no idea what was about to transpire. It's time. With a flash, I grabbed my evidence. I grabbed a beautiful cup of dark roast coffee from Wawa. And I flew, lights and sirens, to the spa. Well, actually I was driving this undercover, eco-friendly Camry, so I drove really slow. And there were no lights and sirens. So it didn't look nearly as cool in real life. Anyways, I took a deputy with me who was volunteering time in our unit. We wanted to give them some exposure to awful puns and dad jokes, so sadly, they were stuck with me for this interview. As we entered the door, I made eye contact with Sharon. In what felt like a slow-motion movie, Sharon looked into my soul. She could see the confidence in my eye, the detective's folder in my hand, and the coffee stain on my shirt. It was at this time she knew that I knew what she knew, but this was still new. She wasn't sure if it was true. What else could she do? Are we really going to keep that in the episode? Come on, man. I approached Sharon and asked if she had a few moments to talk with us about an ongoing investigation. The adrenaline hit her, and she already began to feel her conscience groan in discomfort. She obliged, and we were able to use a private office space to discuss the matters at hand. And of course, she was read her Miranda rights and she was willing to talk with us. Before telling her about any of the evidence I had, I broke the ice with some light humor, but then I told her about the complaint we had involving a potential stolen debit card number. After initially declining any knowledge of the situation whatsoever, I realized Sharon wasn't going to make this easy for us. I initially pretended that I believed Sharon, and then I opened my detectives folder. Here, Sharon, if you look through these documents, there's some weird things I found during my investigation. This subject just so happened to pay off your bill at Cricket Wireless? And they also had a pizza delivered to this spa using your cell phone number and name? That's odd, right, Sharon? Sharon fumbled through the papers, and she sat there, puzzled. She's already been caught in a lie at this point. She's wondering if there's any chance she can squeeze herself out of this one. But after an awkwardly long silence, she comes to the realization that her gig is up. Without Sharon even saying a word, I asked her, "Listen, I'm willing to work with you the best I can given these circumstances. But why did you do this? You've got a clean record." Sharon's answer clearly covered all three sides of the fraud triangle. She had motivation, an opportunity, and she used rationalization. The fraud triangle model is primarily used to predict situations in which someone is most likely to commit fraud. When all three of these conditions are met and they come together, watch out. Sharon's primary motivation was money. She was broker than a joker. She had a negative balance on her Cricket Wireless account, and she was in danger of getting her cell phone canceled. And I guess she had some motivation to eat pizza as well, right? The opportunity was too good to pass up. She had no direct supervision during the day, and she could tell Charlotte was distracted on the phone. So, when she gave Sharon her debit card to pay for the spa services, Sharon decided to copy her card information down so she could use it later for fraudulent purposes. Sharon also rationalized the activity. She initially judged Charlotte and felt like, hey, Charlotte's got money. She's never going to notice a few small transactions. Her bank will probably reimburse her anyways, right? Why would Charlotte care about that? It's not likely I'll get caught or arrested for just doing this one time. Sharon's actions were ultimately due to having motivation, an opportunity, and she was able to rationalize why she was going to do it. The only problem is, now she's having a hard time rationalizing this to the cops. Go figure. I must admit, we interviewed Sharon for an abnormal amount of time. We probably spent nearly an hour with her before she spilled the beans on everything. Ultimately, she did finally give a full confession, and she even filled out a sworn written statement attesting to her remorse for committing fraud. Due to Sharon cooperating, at least a little bit, I made a friendly deal with her. I offered to either arrest her on the spot, or I offered to just file the charges and let her walk away today. Most people, when offered this deal, would walk themselves right into my handcuffs. You may be wondering, why? Why would they want to get arrested today instead of having charges filed against them? Well, getting the arrest over with is far better than having an outstanding warrant for your arrest. The anxiety that comes with waiting on an unknown moment when you may just get bagged and tagged, it's not worth it. So, really, arresting Sharon, it was the yeast I could do. Yeast like pizza dough, you get it? Come on. If you are looking for an easy way to remember the fraud triangle, use the acronym MOR, or MORE, which stands for motivation, opportunity, and rationalization. There's 3 sides to a slice of pizza, and chances are if you like pizza, you'll always want more. And there you have it, fraud fighters. Pizza and fraud do have something in common, it seems. And both have consequences, especially if you enjoy pizza as much as I do. So join us next time as we delve into the world of financial intrigue, exposing the tricks of the trade while sharing a laugh or two. Remember, not all heroes wear capes, some wear accountant badges and detective hats. This podcast is presented by Fraud Warfare. If you are interested in supporting us through promoted ads, please connect with me on LinkedIn. Please consider sharing this podcast with a friend or family member, and be sure to leave us a review on your podcasting platform of choice. You can also support us financially through our buymeacoffee.com/fraud warfare page. 100% of these funds go towards improving the quality of our podcasts and, of course, some coffee. Thanks for listening.